What up, you beauties? This episode is brought to you by Top Cheese Hockey Wax, trusted by players and greasy pigeons everywhere who take their game seriously. Head to topcheesehockeywwax.com and use code PIGEON10 at checkout to get 10% off your order. Top Cheese Hockey Wax. Grip it and rip it. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Greasy Pigeon Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Sullivan. With me, as always, he looks a little warm. It's a little warm in Florida today. The one and only Kevin Trusser. Kevin, how's the AC keeping up?
It's chugging along just like this big body. It is very murky up here upstairs in the den.
Well, heat rises, buddy, and so does your shining star continues to rise. Are you out there taking the laps in the neighborhood in this weather, or are you honing it in for a couple days?
No, I get on out there. The struggle's real. I'm an athlete. If they got to pick my carcass up, then they got to do it. But no, been out there a little bit earlier than normal, but nonetheless, it has been record highs here in the Tampa Bay area. It's pretty rough. Rough.
In the Florida area, Tampa saw the 100-degree mark for the first time ever. Not that this is a weather show, but all up central part of the United States. You were talking about mom and dad up there in Toronto. The heat made it all the way to southern Ontario. It is just hot everywhere. Not a whole lot going on in the hockey universe right now. The athletes that are trying for next year's spots, the higher roles, the higher levels, are out there working hard. And we're really fortunate, Kev, to be joined by an old friend of ours, but a future star in the making in Owen DeGraff. Owen, for those of you that don't know the name, 17-year-old 2008 birth year. He moved to Florida when he was young, played a bunch of youth hockey in Florida, kind of a product of the Florida hockey market, and a lot of skill and talent to go with that. Committed to D1 Penn State University, which is all in the news now. Gavin McKenna is going to play there probably next year, one and done, take off. That program is growing. Can't wait to talk to him about what's going on up there at Penn State, what drew him there. But more recently, last week, the week before, he was one of the few at the Select 17 USA Hockey National Development Camp. This kid is a powerhouse forward, great kid, great family, and we're so happy to be joined by Owen. Owen, man, welcome to the Greasy Pigeon Podcast, and thanks for taking a few minutes and joining us in the nest.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do it.
Absolutely. So I kind of want to start with what I somewhat alluded to in the intro, the Florida connection, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. You were born New York, I believe, and then moved to Florida when Chicago. Okay, so See, I'm wrong right out of the gate. We're starting this puppy on a good note. Wrong from the start. So born in Chicago, moves to Florida, plays Florida hockey. How did that go? How did you play at all up north? Were you fresh to the sport in Florida? Just kind of give us your background on how you started out.
Yeah, so my dad worked at a boarding school up in the Chicago area, Lake Forest Academy. And they had a rink on campus, and that was like the coolest thing ever. So I was drawn to that from a very early age. I got my first skates when I was 2, so I was kind of thrown into it, I guess. And then Dad's job brought him down here for the Bucks, and kind of just tried to find a team down here. And we were told that Junior Lightning was the best spot, and it's kind of where we landed down here. And filtered through playing for Coach Kevin, or playing with Carter, which was a blast. Kind of just working through the Lightning, and then we ended up a few years with the Ice Storm, a year with the Alliance, and then was fortunate to go up to the Gulls for the last 3 years.
Yeah, the one thing it forgets to say is I believe you played 4 years of Pee Wee hockey, or was it 3? I know we had the pleasure of having you on the team as an underager. My son's an 06, and O is 2 years younger than him, and somehow we were able to get him on our squad to play a couple years in Pee Wee, and I think he had 4 years total when it all came. Elder statesman of the 12U it was all said and done.
I was just mad I couldn't keep moving up with you guys.
We would have taken you if the league would have allowed it, but
that's right.
Yeah, it wasn't the talent that slowed you down. It was the league. The league's rules is what stopped you, bud.
I thought maybe it was the coaching, but
Yeah, it's the coaching. I agree.
That's it. That's
great.
But yeah, no, I had the pleasure of actually coaching Owen for a couple of years, and like Jeff said, phenomenal family. To see how he's grown as an athlete here from a young age is exciting to see. So definitely excited to have you on. Into that, I know you're a multi-sport athlete. When we had you, it was hockey, lacrosse, baseball. I know you loved all three. What
Running in circles.
what made you decide to go the hockey route?
I just love being on the ice. There was nothing more that I wanted to do than go skate. I had fun playing baseball and playing lacrosse on Saturdays and doing that. But my only love was hockey, and I just couldn't wait to be on the ice. No matter what I was doing, if it was those bagger of Monday skates where no pucks, I was just still happy to be out there.
So Owen, when did you said you played 3 years at the Gulls? So what age did you leave Florida to go to the Gulls? How did you find that opportunity? So many parents we talk to or we talk about on the show and we see on the socials and talking in the rinks when we're there, they talk about when is it time to leave Florida? Because unfortunately, we're still in a place in Florida hockey that you can't play at the highest of the high levels and stay in state
Mm-hmm.
all the way through. Eventually you have to leave the state, right? So some kids do it at 16, 17, some kids do it earlier. Some kids do it earlier and maybe they shouldn't, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what was your path like when you started to get approached, or how did that work? And walk us through what that looked like for you.
Yeah, so I moved away for my 14U year. So I was a freshman. I was going to be my freshman year. And I think I played a few like summer league tournaments up in Boston area, played for the Boston Junior Blues. Probably like 2 or 3 tournaments up there. And coach for the Gulls, I guess saw me, and I'd played with some of those Gulls kids up there and kind of got connected with them. And my skills trainer down here, Chris Ferrazzoli, used to play for the Gulls way back. So it kind of was like a perfect mix. And they started recruiting me about all the good things there, their midget program, the setup they have there. I couldn't pass it up.
How many kids on your team in that freshman year were from the local area up where the Gulls are or out of state? Was there that many, or were you the anomaly on that team?
I was the only billet kid, I guess, up there for my 14U team, and then that the older team, the 15U team, 15O team. There were only 3 of us that were that young. And kind of as like I look like as I was getting older when I played 16s this year. Looking at the 14 team, they had like 7 or 8 kids that were out of state, like billeting. So it's crazy to see the journey and like how it's getting pushed up and more kids are moving away. But my first year, I was the only kid that billeted, and it was kind of it was crazy. Like kids couldn't believe it basically. The kids were asking me, "How are you able to move away from home?" And I don't know, honestly. I just did it.
As the ages change, 14U, 15O, 16U. That's we talked about that on an earlier show. And we kind of harped on that 15O year because that seems to be the year everyone in the elite hockey circles puts the emphasis on. It's the only year as of now. They're actually talking about changing this in a couple other age groups, but it's the only year as of now that is that year. You cannot have more than I think it's like 2. There is some allowances, but basically it's got to be like 90% of that birth year for that given year, and that's where the teams put the emphasis on. Right, Mid Fairfield did it all those years when St. Louis was there. They're kind of doing it again. They're bringing Dimitri up, the 09s, right, the year behind Owen, right, which is going to be that I believe 15-0 year this year. You've got other. Or maybe that's first year 16U, but either way, it's that same time frame, right? So the emphasis gets put on that year, and you got the powerhouses of elite hockey. You've got the Junior Rangers, the Mid Fairfield Junior Rangers. You got Shattuck St. Mary's. You've got teams like obviously Long Island Gulls and Junior Penns, Junior Stars. They load for those years, right? How was it for you to be in that bubble? And did you realize you were in that bubble? Like looking from the outside, you were on one of those elite organizations, and clearly that led somewhere because you're, D1 commit. I haven't mentioned this yet, but you are a draft pick, top 100, number 80 overall to the Waterloo Blackhawks in the USHL. That's where you're going to play next year, right? Tier 1 junior hockey in the States. Like, you clearly are an elite hockey player at your age group. As you continue to grow, hopefully, obviously, we all hope you continue to stay at that elite level. Do you realize it when you're in that moment? And if so, how different was, that experience to your past experiences? Obviously, playing for Kevin and Oldsmar at 11 is a little different than playing in Long Island at 14. But let's be honest, when you're on the ice with the coach, how different really is it for you in that moment, right? It's pucks and sticks and skills. So I'm just curious, Owen, to kind of deep dive into what that was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same stuff. We're all harping the same things. We all want to have fun, and you just want to get a little better each day. We were just so fortunate to understand the ability and the opportunities we had each day, I guess. We call it billet skates. We do skate in the morning, and we do school. And then we get our actual team practice in at night. And during the billet skate, we'd have Vinny Smith. He'd come out. He's our 16U coach. He's won 3, I may be wrong, maybe 4 national championships, and he is hands down one of the best like skill development coaches in the country, maybe in the world, in my opinion. And he's out there every day with us. We have 3 different ice slots, so just the attention to detail and how every day you get a chance to get better, and it's up to you whether or not you're going to take it. And I guess that's kind of the difference. Is when you're younger, your parents are driving you to the rink, you get a little bit more slack. But when you're driving yourself to the rink, and you got to do school, and then you got to skate, and you got to meal, you got to plan all that out. You're taking advantage of every time you get a step on the ice, and the yoga that we get to do afterwards, or the cool down, whatever it may be. Just enjoying every moment you get and taking advantage of it.
So would that include like a lot of free play? Like would that skills coach actually instruct you guys on things, or was it sort of up to the individual as to, hey, what do you want to work on? I'm here to help and,
Yeah, so
better yourself.
we'd have a good mix of both. We would skate Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and kind of Tuesday was for the 16s. That was our heavy day because we'd have the day skate, and then we'd have an hour of skills at night, and then our compete practice against the 18s. And that Wednesday we would do an open house. So anything you wanted to work on, from rim pickups to maybe how you're taking pucks in the slot, your one timer. It's up to whatever you want on those open house days. Other days, you see some stuff in our game that maybe are coming out of the corners, moving the puck, whatever his mind decides that we're not doing right or we can work on. Then we take that time, and it's a full hour of just going. I wouldn't be where I am without it, to be honest. It's because it's 3 days a week, and we did that for 3 years, which is amazing.
So with those 3 years, you obviously had some of the same teammates, some come and go.
Hmm.
you know, Success with a hockey team and really any team is it's buy-in from everyone, right? Doesn't matter if you are the fourth liner or the first liner, the buy-in has to be in there. So
Yeah.
was it self-accountability as a team that, hey, you may not be wanting to go first skate, but one of the other guys says, hey, let's go, we're going, like, or was it everyone's pulling the rope in the same direction and you're seeing the success that your team's having? So how was that over the 3 years?
Yeah, I'd say I saw a good mix of both, to be honest. For the 3 years, I saw a good mix of both. Everybody pulling the rope. We had our core guys kind of traveled across those 3 years, and we picked up guys as we went. And there were definitely guys where we had to work differently with. And that's the part about being kind of leaders on a team, that you have to figure out what works best for some guys may not work best for others. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. We all want to do the same thing. Everybody wants to win. So nobody's going to be I mean, I guess a bad teammate, because we're all there doing the same thing. We all want to win, and at the end of the day, it's just whether or not we're all going to get on the ice and work. It's just, are you really going to work, or are you just going to be out there? And that's where it comes in as a leader, because nobody's just going to take the day off. But when you're on the ice, if you're not fully in it, you're going to be taking reps away from not only other people that could be going, but when you're doing it with somebody, you're going to be, wasting my rep, or if I'm going to waste your rep, it's not going to happen. Either you knew it and you checked yourself out and you figured it out, or somebody let you know and it was taken care of.
No, absolutely. And we've had, we were fortunate to have MK O'Brien. She's actually the captain of Minnesota Duluth women's hockey team up there, D1. She played at BK, she was a BK Select student for a lot of years, right? So talking to her and listening to her story about the accountability and what it takes to get to that level, the on ice, and if you don't follow her on TikTok, shameless plug, she is a greasy pigeon ambassador for us out there. She does promote the brand. We're awesome, so fortunate to have her kind of as part of the team as we're growing this thing. But she's great on TikTok, and she posts all kinds of stuff, like kind of from the ice, like not during practice, but like immediately before or after. Her teammates are a lot of fun. Anyway, go follow her on TikTok. She's a lot of fun. But the point of that was she's on the ice every day.
Mm-hmm.
She's working every day, right? It's off season. She stayed in Duluth. She's working hard.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked about it at 14, 15, 16, 3 days a week on the ice, doing this, doing that. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Was there off ice, and If so, how much off ice and what did you do? And how did you have to continue to get better at the game when you weren't between the boards? Because we talk about it all the time. The hour of practice 3 days a week is not going to get you drafted 80th overall in the USHL. So how do you do, what was the extra that you had to do during all those years and you continue to do that helps you continue to be the elite athlete you are?
Yeah, so the off ice is huge for me, especially. And I like my routine, especially for weeks where we've got our games and maybe it's a bigger week. But for our team, we would lift 2 times a week, and it'd be a split. We'd have both upper and lower body each day. And for me personally, I would do a lift on Mondays on our like off day, I guess. And my dad would write that for me. But so I guess I would get 3 lifts in for a week, and then the cool down after practice. But it's all kind of routine based, and everybody had their own thing. Whether it was, a lot of guys really like the sewer before games or for practice. Just kind of getting you in the right state of mind is huge for anybody, honestly, and especially routine based with your lifts and kind of what you need to know. You know what you need to get in for your week to feel best ready to go, and you want to sustain your. It's hard to you're going to get your cardio in because of practices and everything, but it's hard to keep that muscle, and that's huge. Is you're going to be losing a lot, but you shouldn't if you're doing it the right way. If you're getting your lifts in and you're make sure you're eating your food, you want to stay at your weight, and that's to me that's how you do it, and it's worked for me so far.
No,
Was a
that's
lot of
key.
your,
Sorry, Kev.
I was just going to say, yeah, were a lot of your lifts like gone are the days I know when I was growing up, it was heavy lifting, and now it's more the explosiveness, the CrossFit. Is that what you're doing? Is it a mix of both? What have you seen has been successful for you when it comes to that?
Yeah, so I'm working with my dad, Mr. Dave, at One Buck, and it's kind of we just got out of the hypertrophy phase, and it was just the old school. We got to get some muscle on my frame. We can't have a scrawny 6'2" guy, so just a lot of just weight and reps for those. I got back in like April, and I think we just moved to the power phase probably maybe 3, 4 weeks ago. So it was a long time to put on the weight. And I came home at 185, I believe. And I'm 202 now. So that was huge for me. And it's just moving weight. That's all you got to do, basically. And you got to be purposeful with it because it's going to help you out. And then now we're in the power, and it's a little about the same weight, but it's just less reps. Just every rep is to a T, and you're explosive, which helps me at least.
Have you noticed a difference on the ice in the past couple months? Has it been an adjustment putting on 16, 18 pounds?
Oh yeah. So I was talking about it the other day with my dad and Mr. Dave. We were talking through the science about it of as you're putting on the weight, your body has to adjust to the mass you have now. And it's not going to be able to fire the same way. But when you get to that weight, then you're lifting the big weight, then you get to your weight you want. That's when you're going to feel a little sluggish. Like last few weeks were pretty brutal. I just did not feel explosive, powerful, and then your body just needs to adjust to the new you, and that's all it's about. And now I'm in. I actually do like footwork, plyo, and I've noticed a huge difference in like my small area skating, kind of my first 3 strides, and that's just the combo with like the Olympic movements, and then that put together is just me on the ice is way more explosive, and we're working on now the sustained part of it with the cardio now that we're hitting hard, but being able to do that over and over again has been huge for me, especially throughout camps and stuff.
As far as off ice stuff too, you talk about the gym, eating, right, diet, all that stuff is 1,000,000% important. Other athletes talk about still the skill development piece. Are you still in a place at this level? Are you still shooting pucks in the driveway and stick handling in the driveway? Or are you moved on from that? Now that just happens on the ice. Like, is there still that skill development piece that you're doing at home or in the shooting room by yourself? And if so, kind of walk us through that routine for you, because we continue to tell this is all I'm doing this all for the youth athlete, right? That 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid that's here in Florida that wants to follow the Owen DeGraff path, but doesn't get out in the driveway or doesn't get. So just walk us through kind of what that another piece of that off ice development looks like.
Yeah, so to me, shooting the pucks in the driveway that's my happy place. I love to go out to the garage and stick handle. It's just fun to me, I guess. Just I just go out and there's certain things that I'll work on with with shooting, kind of obviously the placement and everything like that, but getting into getting my body into weird spots. That way I'm still able to shoot the way I want to when maybe I'm contorted a certain way or maybe I'm off balance. Kind of just working through things. And I mean, I got a little spoiled with the pucks that I got. I think I have probably 200 pucks, so I get to have a good time out in the driveway. I wait till it cools down a little bit, but I love shooting stick handling in the driveway, and I'll be out there for until it goes dark, basically. And that's nice with the summer now, is it's dark late, which is fun.
You gotta get out there when Kevin's running the neighborhood. You gotta just go shoot the pucks when he's out there. They fire him at him if you don't mind. That'd be helpful.
Hey, it's slow moving. You can get at least 100 of those 200 off. I can guarantee it.
Is that before or after you collapse?
Good noted. Probably before.
Good call. Good call.
Feel free to rip the other 200. Just lower body, though. Lower body. No, that is awesome. So going back to what I said, asked earlier, multi-sport. I know lacrosse was a huge part of your upbringing. Are you still getting out there with the fellas here that are local and, throwing the ball around at all or no?
No, I wish I was, to be honest. I hear about it from my dad. I wish I did. It was a great summer program that I grew up playing for. And I think they still do some high school stuff, but it's so beneficial for me growing up, the hand-eye and just moving your body a different way. You're going to get burnt out eventually if you keep doing the same thing. And that's what happened to me a little bit the past few years, is with not a different outlet, so to speak. My 14th year, I was still able to play lacrosse up there for a really good program, which was fun. And that was just a kind of a good release to just go like Saturday mornings, just if there was nothing, just go practice. And it was just hanging around, moving your body a different way, kind of getting out of doing the same thing. And that's huge for me, especially when I was younger. My dad harped on it, is being able to play a different sport and not being stuck in a box, I guess, is you're able to do other things. And it helps out. Like the hand-eye helps with hockey, kind of the running and stuff. The cardio aspect helps with hockey as well. Like everything, it all correlates, and you're going to notice it, especially going back the other way with hockey, lacrosse. Like ground balls were so easy for me, just because everything being on the ice and on the ground it all translate, and it's great if you're able to do that, play more than one sport.
Well, it's explosiveness, right? In hockey, yeah, you can glide a little bit, but with lacrosse, you've got to move those
Constant.
feet. So, yeah, for those listening, take the skates off, put the running shoes on, do something different.
That's right.
Look good, chirp better. Greasy Pigeon merch is here. Hats, tees, polos, and sweatshirts that even your beer league goalie can't stain. Head to greasypigeon.com and use promo code SUMMER15 for 15% off. Dress like a beauty. Stay greasy.
Just validated everything Kevin said for the last year plus of doing this show about the multi-sport athlete right there. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We talked, the first part of this conversation, about around your kind of development, right, and how you got to where you are and whatever else. So I want to switch gears into the present, right, where you are kind of now. And I really want to hear about the USA Hockey National Development Camp, the Select 17s. What was that process? Did you go through the process of the multi-camps, the state camp and the regional camp, and go, or was this a different selection process, an invite thing? What was the process like to get here? And then what was the week like that you were there? And we actually got real-time feedback, to be honest, from a coach that was in the building that's got local ties here. And he texted us and was talking about you and how awesome you looked out there and everything else. So news travels fast about what you're doing, but just curious again what that process looked like and how your time there was.
No, so there's a state one, I believe. There's a state camp. I think I think everybody's invited to that, to be honest, for the most part. And once you do that, so I went my 15s, 16s, and 17s year. So once you go make it to Natty Camp after the 15s year, you don't have to do the state anymore. So I got auto put into districts. This past year was in Nashville, which is beautiful place, by the way. Side note.
Yeah, I've found a few decked rooftops in Nashville in the past. Oh, and Kevin and I are well aware of.
He's talking about the rinks, Jeff. He's talking about the rinks.
The rinks, not the drinks. The rinks. Gotcha. Sorry.
No, so then there's a few games there, and then an all-star game, and then you get moved on to Buffalo. And this year was actually a lot of fun. It was a festival tournament. So the past 2 years it was just you get put on a random team, but this year it was really fun where you got to be with the guys from the Southeast District. And um, the cool thing about our Florida group was a lot of us grew up together. I think there were about 7 or 8 of us that were from Florida on the team, and they filled it up with I think they had 2 or 3 other bids. But it was really cool to play with those guys one last time. Kind of, you're growing up, and we get to go do it on like the big stage now, which is fun. Going from being little kids playing double A and everything like that, and then going and you get one last hoorah, I guess, it was a tournament too, so we had a chance to win it all, but we came up short. Um, but the week was a lot of fun. We had got there. There were a few meetings. We did some testing, and then kind of the day would be we just get some breakfast, maybe videos, maybe some downtime, and then we go to the rink. And they changed it this year. We had 2 practices across the week, so there was one on Tuesday and then Thursday. So on those days we'd go in and we'd practice and stuff. But normally there'd be maybe a meeting or a presentation and then maybe some lunch, little nap, and then you got the game. Something new that they started was kind of like a warm up, cool down for the past 2 years, which was cool, which helps a lot, honestly, for being ready to go once you get on the ice. And then kind of you get the bus back to the dorms and then some dinner, and you're hanging out with the boys, play some poker and maybe some blackjack, and then you go to bed.
What would you say the biggest takeaway was, like seeing the difference from the kids that were at the upper level of the development camp versus ones that might have struggled a little bit? Was there something that was a takeaway that you learned from there?
Maybe just to compete. Those top guys, they want to win. They hate to lose. I guess everybody kind of wants to win, but nobody hates to lose, I guess. And that's kind of what separated those guys that moved on, I guess, from those who didn't.
It's got to be tough though too, because you've made it to 2 national championships, right? Or nationals. Your season has been extended multiple times, so a lot of miles on the body to go into that development camp,
Yeah.
and that I'm sure had to wear on some that had extended seasons versus others that might have been able to take a couple weeks off and recharge.
Yeah. So after national camp, I was very fortunate. My 15-0 year, we made it to the national final. We lost, but that was an unbelievable experience. That was up in Fargo. That was so cool. Should be going the run we had, and that group was something else. We talk about it all the time. The bond. Everybody bought it, man. Everybody. It was unbelievable. We came up against a monster. I think they had 3 kids play for the national team, 1 kid that tendered to the USHL, and then I want to say 2 that played in the dub. So it was a very good team, and we had plenty of skill and a lot of really good team players. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. But that one was extended a lot. But you still take the same amount of time off. I guess it probably took maybe 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
Kind of get the body to recharge, because you can't shorten that. Especially it was a game a day at nationals, so you're pretty destroyed. Especially this past year, we were short benched, so there was a lot of time spent on the ice, and the body was feeling it for sure.
We talked about before kind of how you got to the Gulls and started to get to that elite level of AAA hockey, and then how you got into the development camp program. So let's go a step further. How did your recruitment for the D1 piece start? Did that start, obviously you're committed already, so clearly it started pre-juniors, it started in AAA. Mm-hmm. Did it start because of the development camps? Did it start because of, again, the Gulls are part of the elite? For those that wonder why I keep harping on it, there's only a handful of the elite AAA programs in the country. There's a million AAA programs. We all know that. But there's a top percentile that are the best, and the Gulls are one of them. So did it start then? Kind of walk us through your recruitment process, and then I kind of obviously want to find out how you chose Penn State, but I want to kind of hold that to a separate question down the road.
Yes. It kind of started, I think it's January 1st of your sophomore year, maybe? I could be completely wrong.
I think you're right, or maybe November. Yeah, it's changes all the time, but let's go with that because that's a safe bet.
Good call. They can reach out January 1st. And then that's when they kind of kick off the conversation, kind of get a feel for you as a kid, and academically if you're good for those Ivy Leagues or maybe not the grade wise, but they kind of start that conversation there. And then it kind of I mean they've been watching you for a bit now. They watch for that 14 year, and then they heavily pick it up for that 15s, and then they get their list of people that they want to reach out to, and then January comes around, they start that, and then um, you kind of weed it out as you go. You may hear from somebody on January 1st, and then not hear from them again, or you may have not heard from somebody on January 1st, and then August 1st comes, and then they have an offer for you. It kind of just comes and goes, and it starts throughout that 15s year, and it's heavy with the 15 national tournament. There were a lot of people there, and then it travels into the national camp as well. So it's all kind of you see the same sweatshirts or quarter zips kind of all around. And then they're not allowed to talk to you off of campus. So if you want to do a visit, which I was lucky, I did an unofficial with two other kids at the time to Penn State in February of my sophomore year. I absolutely loved it. It was unbelievable. Like, second I stepped foot there, I thought this place was unbelievable. And then the people are just unbelievable. But that they kind of just get a feel for you as it starts, and then they weed it out throughout the year and see if this is really what we want. And then when it comes around, if you haven't, I mean, you take a visit, or maybe you haven't visited yet, and then you take an official at August 1st. And then that process is really kicked off August 1st, because then they can talk to you whenever and stuff like that.
How much of it was them contacting you, and then how much of it is you reaching out to either Penn State or other schools that may be of interest to you? Because, the recruiting aspect, from what I've heard, if you're not blue chip, is, it's the onus of the athlete, right? If you want to go to a certain school, then do what you can to get in contact with that coach and make sure that you're on their radar. May not have happened with you, but with your peers, like, is there any experiences that you can share there?
Yeah, a good bit of us, we have a family advisor, and they're kind of in tune with everything. They got good connections, and they kind of know what we are looking for, and they know what would suit us. They put in the back pocket of people, and kind of, hey, watch this person, stuff like that. And then and it goes, you can build a relationship with the coach. But everybody kind of, if you want, like my advisor told me, if you want to go to this school, you got to let me know so I can get it going. But it's kind of up to the discrepancy of the kid. If you want a school, you got to reach out, because maybe you're not on their radar, and maybe you want to go there, they don't know about you, and then they watch you, and then they want you. Like, you gotta do your part. And if not, I mean, there's a lot of good schools out there.
Did you have multiple coaches when that opened up? Like, you see the imagery of the football player, sitting at the table with the hats in front of them, right? All that stuff. Like, was there multiple coaches that started that conversation that, hey, come, the unofficials, right? Again, we don't want to get anybody in trouble and get into too deep into the weeds,
Yeah.
but what were those conversations like? And you said you stepped on campus and loved it, but as far as like talking to coaches, were you hearing everything under the sun? Were you getting sold the farm? Like, how did it all shake out for you and the family?
Yeah, I'd say it was a good mix. I think they're gonna tell you what you want to hear, but some places are gonna tell you what you want to hear, but some places are gonna tell you what you need to hear, and the truth. And I mean, you want a good mix of both. Different coaches are gonna want you. Like, you're not sold on one spot, and only one coach can try and get you. Everybody's gonna say what you want to hear, and try and get you to their spot, and say theirs is the best over another spot. So it's kind of, they're fighting against each other, I guess, so to speak. But at the end of the day, it's up to what you want, and what was best for my family and for my development moving forward.
No, I think it's important, right? And you touched on it a little bit, of coaches maybe saying what you don't want to hear as an athlete,
Mhm.
because some will just tell it like it is, and it's sort of like a John Tortorella type feel, right? Where it's like, hey, I like you, but this is where you need to work on, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And pageantry. Those are the tough conversations that
Yep.
if someone's seeing that, you steal with your eyes and ears and, put that in the back pocket and realize that that's something that might other scouts or coaches could be looking at for you to improve on. So I think it's
Mhm.
important, specifically when you're hearing from other coaches and having those conversations, it shouldn't just be about, how great you are, because you're at a spot still where there's a lot of development that needs
Oh
to be
yeah.
done, and it's just owning on those skills. So
Hmm.
kudos to those coaches that tell it like it is and in the proper way.
So real quick, one last question before we let you go, and appreciate again you taking the time to talk to us today. Kevin's gonna go for a run when we hang this thing up, so we'll get kind of moving on this. But what? But no, seriously. So you said you stepped on campus. Penn State was beautiful. You loved it. I've never been to Penn State. Never been up there. That's one campus I've never been on. Ton of friends down here that went to Penn State. Again, diehard fans, right? Love the campus. Go back up there. It's its own community everywhere. There's a few of those Big Ten schools like that, right? Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. They're like their own little cultures when they all get together and watch the game. But from a hockey standpoint, facilities, coaching, area, just why Penn State?
Yeah. So me personally, they don't. I mean, they're a newer D1 program, so to speak. They haven't been around for forever like the Michigans. Just the facility and the resources they have. They, in my opinion, they have the best coaches in college hockey. I think Guy Gadowski and that whole crew are unbelievable, and just their minds and the way they treat people. Like at the end of the day, um, you're not going to want to play for a guy that treats you like crap or doesn't really care about you. At the end of the day, they're all great people. And they want what's best for you as a person as well. And hockey wise, I mean, they got everything. I love that they got a shooting room, of course, which is a great spot. They got their own weight room that they don't have to share with anybody. They got great staff people everywhere, from the strength and conditioning coach to the athletic trainers, to everybody's theirs to make you better. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's all I need. They have the bells and whistles, I guess, but if it's just what you need to get better, they got it. They're just perfect for me. All sorts of ice that you could want, many resources you could ever need, they can get it for you as long as it's going to help you.
In 2012, they were a first-year NCAA Division I hockey program, and 13 short years later, they are a powerhouse in the NCAA Division I. The number one future player in the world will probably play there next year, assuming he actually goes. He's committed to Gavin McKenna. All signs point to him playing a season up there at Penn State. You're going to follow that a year or two after he comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that climate's going to be like once he's there, right? That's essentially, for those that maybe don't follow the prospect ranks, it's Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid back when they were 18 years old, showing up to play 1 year of college hockey before they go to the pros, which is new because they'd all play up in Major Junior, Quebec, Ontario, the W, whatever, for their year, right? Or a couple of years and then leave. He did that. I mean, you said it before we started recording. Oh, and I'm going to steal your line. Done everything possible there is to do in the W. Done everything. Scored the goals. Done the thing. I'm out. Connor Bedard style, right? I'm out of here, right? Gone. Now he's going to go to Penn State, which was never allowed before. So he's going to do the year there. Are you prepared for what that's going to be like when after he's gone? What do you think Penn State's going to look like as a hockey program when you play for them in 2-3 seasons, whatever that may be?
Yeah, so I'd say, I mean, it's not even solely him. I'd say that the crew that they have, obviously he's the big polished guy that they're bringing in, but they have plenty of high talent, big deal players coming in, and I think that they're going to be setting a new standard for sure at Penn State. I think every year the bar keeps getting raised higher and higher, and I think that it's only going to grow. The class that '08 class is very good, and same thing with the '07. They do a great job recruiting, and um, like I said, the bar is just going to keep rising and rising. The atmosphere there is unbelievable. So I mean, if you could imagine that, it can only get better, which is crazy. Everybody just wants to go watch those guys. They know that they're going to be there for 1, maybe 2 years, and then they're going to be playing in the NHL. They want to see that, and no matter where they go, if they're playing anywhere else in the Big Ten, that's the other cool thing, is now that everybody's going to have guys like that. So I guess the standard of college hockey as a whole is just going to be raised, especially those guys at Penn State.
Yeah, the Pagulas have done an awesome job with the program there. For my older brother, I know that can't come quick enough for the Sabres, but Penn State is definitely on the rise in the college ranks. To wrap up real quick, I guess, the type of player that a team is going to get, that the Waterloo Blackhawks are going to get with Owen DeGraff. What's that type of player that they're getting? And let's get someone excited that's going to be listening to this for your next step.
Yeah, so the player I am is a high compete, detailed, skilled power forward. Can kind of do whatever it takes to win and can do it all.
Love it.
Center, wing, or wherever they need you.
I've actually just started playing a little bit of center throughout camp and stuff, which I actually really enjoy. So kind of anywhere really.
Are you prepared to spend next year in the middle of the prairies of Iowa?
You can say you are, but I guess you'll never really know until you're there.
I think when you're in those games and you go to those barns, it's 100% different feel. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The bus rides are part of that journey along the way.
The
That's
fans
right.
will be behind you for sure. Again, Sully plays tier 3 up in that area, the Minnesota, Wisconsin area, and the fans come out. It's a different environment. I mean, you may have been used to it, again, playing AAA last year, going to Natty's last couple seasons, whatever, but the fans come out, the town's behind you, the area's all in. I know you're going to put on a hell of a show, Owen. You always have. And I know, speaking for Kevin, man, we wish you nothing but the best in your future, and make sure we get you something with the pigeon on it so you can start wearing it around.
That's right.
And we'll kind of support you the best we can along the way, man. But just happy to be along for the ride. Wish you nothing but the best. And thank you for taking time out on the Greasy Pigeon podcast tonight, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. I had a blast.
Absolutely. Kevin, I think it's a wrap on this show. Owen's got some workouts and practice to go do. You've got to go for a run. And I just got to go cool off, man. This Florida heat's just getting to me. So until next time, buddy, stay cool, stay hydrated. We'll see you next time in the nest. Cheers.